What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We got Shot Tank. All the boys are here. We've got AJB on his own channel, JBB with the no flux lighting. We got TST in a brand new home, which we've since learned is the same home. He just is living like an adult now. Let's start with Jeb. Jeb, how are we doing?
Doing good. Been a crazy week in SoRare. The points are going through the roof, so I've been having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I was ready to talk about SoRare until Domas got a cold, and now I'm furious. So
Utah scoring one freaking point.
Yeah, he's got another game left, though. I'm a big Utah second day guy. I think he loves sucking early so he can perform late. You know what I'm saying?
He's got to keep that cap. Got to keep that cap.
Yeah, keep
low.
that cap low. You don't want him to go too crazy. TST, what's going on with you? How's whatever's happening behind you?
Just trying to sell a house over here, and
this is Arrested Development. Like, I don't know who's watching Arrested Development, but that is what is happening right here. So I feel like none of you guys have seen it, but maybe the chat has, and that'll be good.
I've seen Arrested Development.
Okay, all right, good. Yeah. I'm sorry, I like asked you a question, then cut you off and made fun of you. But how are you doing?
I'm just trying to sell a house over here, and when that happens, I'll be a lot happier. This is actually the exact same location for those of you that are fooled. It's just
less dartboards and Duke jerseys.
Yeah, less jerseys.
Molson Blues.
I was like, I said I think it would sell faster if we left the dartboard in particular, and
definitely
I was overruled by the professionals.
Yeah. I'm just
waiting.
Like
that you still have the mood lighting in there, the blue lighting, just for the stream.
Hey, compromise. You got to compromise.
I'm just waiting for TST to reach back at some point and reveal it's a green screen and then he's out on the streets.
He just does
heavy bags.
Great time.
Thanks, JP. Thanks, JP.
John, what's going on with you, man? How are you doing?
Just hanging out, dude. I am a big NFL fan right now.
Right now?
Well, I'm always a pretty big NFL fan, but I definitely got kind of burned out towards the end of the year, and the playoffs have rejuvenated me.
Yeah, they were kind of
not
fun.
Financially, but fandom-wise. Future of fandom.
So, John, I want to before we so just for the people know what we'll be doing today is we'll be celebrating Borland's birthday first and foremost. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Borland.
But we'll be talking mostly SoRare today. I think that's the plan since the last couple of weeks. I think we're a little bit more Top Shot focused, or at least that's how it felt for me. But I wanted to ask you something about Underdog or just like fantasy football in general, because something that I've because this is my first time really diving into the playoff format. Normally I just do the regular season pretty aggressively. There's something about like the regular season sweat of best ball takes 3 or 4 months, right?
Yeah.
And then in the playoffs, you're like out in a week. And there's something about spending all that time. And then you're like, well, you know what? This was like a 3-month journey. It gave me a sweat. And then by like truly 2:00 on Sunday, I was like, well, 40% of these are dead.
Yeah.
It hurt a little bit.
I mean, you definitely get hit by like the portfolio approach. You definitely get hit with right away, right? So like if you have, if you've drafted 50 teams, like by the time kickoff happens of the first game, like no matter what, like 20% of those teams are dead or whatever, right? Just because there's no way that all the combinations can work out. So there's like that you kind of realize a little bit quicker than you do in best ball, where you have like a bunch of different running backs or whatever. And then but don't you think that okay, so when the end of best ball season oh, that's a good reference. When the end of best ball season happens, like the 4 weeks of the playoffs, like that's some good sweating, right? And so now I feel like you just kind of skip the boring part and you just go straight into like sweat, right?
Yeah, there was just something about, and then I know we're like alienating the audience probably. There was something about like when you get 15% through, that's like solid. That's like what you're shooting for.
Yeah.
When you do that for the entire season, that feels pretty good. When you do it in like 1 week and 85% of my lineups are dead, I was like, oh man, we got down to 6 very fast.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. It only takes one or whatever.
It only takes one or whatever. All right, let's dive into some SoRare stuff. I'm excited to talk about it. The first thing that we should like briefly just touch upon before we get into whatever strategy or whatever the hell we decide we're going to talk about today. The entire world is in France right now for the highly coveted Detroit Harlem Globetrotters game that's happening later this week that I know people are excited about. But the thing that caught everybody's eyes today is that Adam Silver and Tamika, I'm blanking on Tamika's last name, head of the NBA PA, had like a sit down with Nico, the CEO of SoRare, and a recorded conversation that you can definitely check out on YouTube. They've tweeted out the links too. And like, listen, nothing was said that was like, oh my God, can you believe that? And they also like refused to say like Web3 or blockchain or anything else. They just kept saying this innovative. Yeah, this innovative technology. And if we're being honest, this probably has way more to do with the fact that it's a French company. Our boy Nico's pretty close with Macaron, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. But I think as people who have been starving for any sort of NBA acknowledgement on the NBA Top Shot side of things, I don't know. It was pretty. Yeah, Boston Bases Adam Silver was a juicy get. I don't know what was and I don't know who wants to go first. Anybody can go. What was like kind of your response to just seeing the events unfold today?
It was a breath of fresh air. I mean, like you said, I think we kind of these are all this is stuff we thought we foresaw in the future of Top Shot, and I think we held on to for a long time because the present of fandom, yeah, because we're like, oh, this stuff takes a long time. Obviously, the NBA isn't going to stick their necks out and get burned, blah blah blah, and like we're seeing all this stuff that we're like, oh, this could happen, this could happen, this can happen. It's actually starting to happen with SoRare NBA. And that's just so encouraging. And it just feels like it feels good not to be frustrated, Yeah.
I don't know. Anybody else too? Anybody have any thoughts on it? And again, if you missed like it was like a 26-minute interview, it truly was like pretty, HJ, like everybody was like, dude, I can't believe the stuff that you're doing. And like, yeah, dude, the basketball, like the NBA is pretty cool. Like, what about Wembanyama? Like that, like nothing was actually said, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it was more of well, I don't want to keep giving thoughts. I'll let somebody else speak. I don't know, TST.
I'll defer to the French Canadian.
Which I'm not. I just live in the French part. But I mean, kind of completely aside, because kind of what Mike's saying, it was just basically just like, oh, hey, like it wasn't like anything groundbreaking or anything. I want to visit the SoRare like headquarters. Tamika, like one of the first things she said was how she was impressed with like their headquarters and everything. I've seen some other like stuff from football, soccer, SoRare footage or pictures and stuff. Like their headquarters seems pretty sweet, so I'd love to visit there sometime. That'd be fun. So really nothing to do, but like honestly, like from that video, it's just kind of like, hey, like we're partners, we're supporting each other, like we're not gonna like break news or anything.
I went to so Weisberg's saying SoRare has an office in New York. Yeah. I have visited the office in New York. I've been there. It's down in Soho, and
where they gave you all the bags to shill SoRare, dude.
Yeah.
Were you picking up your shill money?
All right, the next 72 tweets are going to explain bias, and
fuck. You got me.
No, I will tell you. I'll tell you what right now. Tamika and Adam Silver aren't swinging by the New York office. The New York office. Shout out SoRare. They're very nice to give me a little tour and shoot the shit a little bit and have a lunch. It was cool seeing over there, but I promise you, it wasn't. It was, it's very New York startup where they, were across the street from a WeWork in a very nice area. It was a lot of people in an open format on computers.
So I want to take the conversation a different direction because I mean I didn't really listen to the interview or whatever. To be honest, that stuff doesn't really get me going that much. Like Adam Silver, whatever. Like I don't think it's really
Adam spreadsheets, maybe Adam Silver.
Yeah, I mean, like if he's checking out some sheets,
Adam Gold, am I right?
Maybe, but like no, but like I don't know. I mean, like all that stuff's good. It shows that they're partners or whatever. But I'm sure, like I don't know, getting Adam to talk about SoRare or do an interview like probably isn't free. It's probably in some sort of agreement with SoRare of their partnership and blah yada yada, right? So like it's not like Adam, fucking woke up. It's like, Dad, let me check out these fantasy card NFT things and let me hit up my girl Tamika and see if we can check this out together, right? Like I don't know, like there's a whole setup thing and probably months in the making, which is good, right?
Oh
And it's
yeah,
fine,
definitely.
they're all into they're all in Paris and that's where they're at. But so the direction that I want to take it is kind of 2 points. Is like number one is like because this is like the form of this is a form of like marketing or whatever you want to call it, right? And like a bunch of people got emails from the NBA account tonight about like how you can get a Sorare starter pack and get started on Sorare and all that stuff, right? Which is
Can I just say one
yeah.
thing about that before you keep going? This
Yeah.
is I just want to say this is how down bad we all are. Is that everyone's now freaking out about an email that went to your spam. Like you had to go to your promotions folder to find it, and everyone's like, why couldn't Top Shot send me spam email? And you know what? Packard does that 3 times a day when they're like, hey, here are some moments that you might be able to use for a challenge. So like they also do that. But I thought that was so like, and it was cool that the email came through. It was cool. Sorry to derail it, but I just thought it was so, I already saw people getting jacked up on Twitter, and I was like, yeah, dude, finally, man, we're going to the moon because it came right next to my Lululemon email. Like we are going.
Well, I think the big distinction is just the fact that like it almost seems like the NBA refuses to acknowledge Top Shot. There's been so many times where like it's been 2 years basically since we started making Top Shot content. And there's so many times we're like, oh, it'd be cool if the NBA did this or this or this. And we see the NFL tweet out NFL all day. We see the UFC
did it today.
strike. Yeah, we see UFC tweet out UFC strike and all that stuff. And the NBA has yet to like publicly acknowledge Top Shot besides that one random interview Adam Silver did with Kevin Garnett. But they're acknowledging SoRare. Like
yeah, but I think that's just
it means something. It doesn't mean a lot, but it's
I don't know. I just look at that as like a difference of marketing budgets, like how marketing budgets were used or whatever. Like I don't know. I just don't think it's like it's not like extremely organic to the point where like it's like, oh, I'm stoked on SoRare now versus Top Shot. Like it's like SoRare maybe made a direct play to like, okay, we're gonna spend some money at the Paris games because they're in our home state and we're gonna have the fucking whatever the hell Silver's commissioner over to our thing and do an interview and send an email out to people. Like NFL decided to pay Ian Rappaport some money to do some tweets, decided to pay Mahomes some money, other players like get the NFL account to do stuff. Top Shot decided to do a commercial with KD and that stuff. And like, I mean, I don't know what else Top Shot did, but like, there's like things like there's different avenues of doing it and like how it's perceived or how some people think it did or whatever. Like, I just think it's kind of like noise a little bit.
Yeah, I somewhat agree, but I don't think
so. Like, I guess I'm not just. I guess I'm not of the mindset of like, oh shit, Silver's talking about SoRare. Like, we're on a way different pathway here than Top Shot was. Like,
oh no.
I would also say like the email isn't that crazy. Like I haven't gotten the email yet. I don't know if it's like
it's probably in your spam folder.
No. So I went looking for it and I found a different NBA spam one, and it is head to head. Here's your chance to win $5,000. How you could win? Guess which player scores the most. Record the longest streak to win. Who will score more points?
That's pretty.
No, that sounds like a challenge.
Yeah. Wait, and it says NBA Top Shot.
Whoa, we were supposed to get that one yet. But then I'll spin it in a little bit different way of like of then my thought about it in regards to SoRare, because like I don't know, and maybe you guys don't agree on it or whatever. Jesus Christ.
Oh my!
That's a long comment.
Blindly crawled into
so like maybe you guys don't necessarily agree with it, but my standpoint generally on the Top Shot stuff, that, and especially now that we've seen how Series 4 has gone on and the net neutral stuff's out the door and they're mint moments left and right, it's like, okay, so in order for like you know, the high end moments to become more valuable again, like probably Top Shot needs a rather large influx of users, I think, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if we have the 5,000 people now, like a 4,000 count TSD, like is probably not going anywhere soon. You know, maybe make a couple bucks on it or something, but it's not gonna, you know, go back to 2 or 3 or $400. But on the Sorare side, like I don't know, it just seems like the amount of supply that they have out currently and like the pace that they do things is like a lot more rigid relative to Top Shot, and it's a lot more like you can kind of understand how things are going, and it's also based on like demand of you know, the auctions and stuff. And so like I'm not like as worried about like, oh shit, we need like a bunch of so rare users to come on. You know what I'm
That's on
saying? Like
fire
I'm not.
today.
It's like it does. There's no supply problem like there is on Top Shot. So
Right.
then there's also not like as big of a concern of like I hope this week's. And I know we'll talk about some of that stuff that TST has, but like I'm not like, oh shit, this week we got, you know, 12,000 people in this competition. Like that's super good. Like I don't know. Like as long as things are like relatively going up or staying stable, it's like it's good enough. And I feel like where that's different than Top Shot because literally as soon as like that bubble happened in series 2 during all-star break, and then like, you know, the Seeing Stars bubble popped or whatever, like things started cranking back down. I was like, when people were like, well, just wait a minute, like, well, hold on, they're gonna like do a couple commercials in the finals this year, then people will be back, then stuff will go off again, and then from there it's just been like a 18-month cycle of like, well, we'll get new users, like eventually they're coming, and then, you know, like because of the supply.
Well, I think it's worth pointing out, like no one playing so rare right now is worried about the supply unless they came over from Top Shot. Like anybody that I've talked to about it that
Gotcha.
didn't get introduced to the game from Top Shot is kind of like not as stressed out. And every time we bring it up, they're like, "Oh, why you're thinking you TST? Do you disagree with that?"
Well, my thing is that like I try to like find ways into the like football bubble of Twitter or other places.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of
Same.
people complaining about like supply or prices and whatnot over there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I think maybe part of that is because we're not immune, but then there's other instances too that like where like I've talked to Andrew from SoRare Data, and he talks about how like people don't look at like the prizes they win to count like like their card might have gone down, but they won like 10 prizes with that card, and they just like ignore that fact, and they're just like, look, my card's worth less now. I still worry long term with like if we're 3 years into this and like there's everyone can have a Luka, like then where like and the cards are still the prize. I still have like things, but just where I'm comfortable right now is that it seems like they have some sort of equation, algorithm, whatever it is that creates their supply. And the other thing is that I think we look at that like 5,000 and we're like, wow, there's going to be 5,000. Then there's going to be another 5,000. In all the other sports, they don't mint like all of them necessarily. So like that means that like we might only get to like 900 Lukas this year. Well, and then when you're looking at it from that standpoint, you're like, whoa, like, okay, if we don't have a shit ton of more users, then we might only get another like 1,000 next year. And then like things that just helps everything stabilize. And like, I think that's maybe one of the biggest complaints with like the market and Top Shot. It isn't that like things aren't going up. It's that like, we just want stability at one point because like and when we're talking from a collectible standpoint or like not even looking at speculating or anything like that, it's like, okay, I want to buy this thing because I want it. But if I can buy it a week later for cheaper, why would I buy it? And then it just like, you just keep kicking that down. And so it's just like about a stability thing. And like from SoRare, because it is a fantasy game, like the spikes and stuff like that is directly to do with the advantage they have in the game for that game week or their actual play in the real life. Yeah. And then the rest of the like price fluctuations has little to do with supply for the most part. There were like different instances where things sped up and slowed down and everything, but for the most part.
Yeah.
Jeb, did you shared that Andrew's comment? Did you want to pull it back up?
Yeah, a little prematurely, but
No,
I
you're
think
good.
this kind of leads into what you were talking about. TST is like this because you were saying you're worried. Obviously, I would say I'm definitely worried. Not like I don't know if worried's the right word. Like I don't think I'm gonna get rugged, but I'm not trying to hold on to my SoRare collection by the end of the season. I'm not confident at all that this thing that like there is going to be stability in the off season because like to your point, like if Luka's going for 500 right now and let's say they only make 1,000, even if they release 1,000 more and there isn't a continued growth in the user base, then that Luka theoretically gets cut by like 30% in value or up to 50%. Like, so like, how do you imagine SoRare after this year? Or have you even thought that far at all?
Dude, I haven't thought about SoRare after game week 23 yet, but no, just kidding.
Well, that's tough. That would make sense based on your previous results because we're on like game week 26, I think.
I just made it up. Okay, but real quick before like we go into that because I think that's a really good question. But I just pulled this up because this is the auctions for Luka, right? So that's like the supply that is, determined by SoRare, right? Everything else is like a secondary market. So you can see as demand has fallen off for Luka, that the number of auctions has fallen off, and lo and behold, since Luka's been having a great season, his price has gone up, right? So like this just general like knowledge of like that's how SoRare works, where yes, there's a lot of supply at first, and then as less demand happens, then there's less supply. Just makes you could look at any player and it looks like this, right? So like that in general, I think is like a positive that maybe it kind of just like hammers home some of the points that you guys are talking about, right? Like we only might get to 900 this year for Luka. That also then doesn't mean that there's going to be 900 next year, right? It could only be like 500 next year. If like
Right.
people have their limiteds this year, they're just locking them down and nobody's going after more Luka limiteds, right? So like I think that's an important piece of it, and like but then there's like there's a version of like, okay, well maybe like a lot more people have a Luka, right? Because like now if you play a Luka limited, like if you have a Luka limited, you're probably playing him every week, right? Because
Right.
he's giving you such a good advantage in all your lineups. Well, now if it gets to the point where you a lot of people have a Luka limited and he's like, I don't know, 15% owned or 20% owned or whatever in lineups. Well, now it like makes sense to play against it. Like then it kind of goes more into like the DFS mindset
Right.
of like
Well,
trying to find leverage and stuff.
and I think it'll depend on like, and I know this is something Andrew from Sorare has been like banging the drum on, but if there's only one contest you can play Luka in, like then that sucks. And so like the more contests that get rolled out where that MVP makes sense to like, oh, maybe I shouldn't use my limited Luka in this MVP, but maybe I should use it in the Western Conference, or maybe I should use it in this. So I think like as the structures of some of these games change, that will kind of inform like how we use that. To speak to the offseason though, I don't know if maybe it's because I'm like way less invested than I was in Top Shot when this happened, where like, I don't know. I mean, I've like paid attention enough to say like, okay, yes, some of these cards have gone down, but I've also won some cards. So it's kind of evened out, and I'm still going to want to play the game because I'm enjoying the game. And these cards have good XP, so I'm going to need them for next year anyways. So I'm not like thinking about the offseason in the sense that I need to offload. Like that's not where my brain is at. And maybe it's because I'm having fun. Maybe it's because it's January and I'm not big brain thinking enough about it. But like I don't see this as a game that I don't want to play come next fall when the season starts again. So that doesn't mean I don't have any like concerns that like stuff's not gonna continue to progress. But what I will say is at least like so far what we've seen both from like baseball and what they've done with their auctions and off-season stuff, and with like all of the things that we've seen them roll out, whether it's how like the pacing of the auctions, the types of contests they've rolled out, they've at least provided us somewhat of a roadmap, if you will, of not being fucking dumb. And I think like that I'm at least have some faith in that. And you know what, listen, fool me once, shame on, I don't know what the saying is, but maybe we just get boned again by another person with a eclectic Twitter handle or Twitter account. So I don't know. I don't know what happens, but yeah, I haven't been too freaked out about that. I did want to share one other thing too that a deep threat brought up that I kind of like get the point of that. Like, why are we paying to play a fantasy basketball game with no cash prizes? Isn't DK or FanDuel an infinitely better choice? I mean, I get what you mean, but it like to me, it's also like a cash prize, like it's like worth the thing, but I don't know. Did you guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, because a lot of people say that, and like it's a pretty easy one to like say, but like the way that I look at it is like, so I can like, I mean, I'm not like a professional or anything, but like I'm like not like a complete dunce at NBA, right? But like playing NBA DFS, but you can go on like if you're playing like single entry or 3 max or something, like you can go on a freaking month-long cold streak of like a couple min cashes, like a bunch of bagels, and like not ever winning a big prize. And if you're playing a I don't know, $15 contest every night, then all of a sudden you're down, I don't know, whatever, $500 or something, right? Over the course of a month, right? Where with the SoRare stuff, like you put in the initial investment and it's maybe the same $500, but then you can play for the entire season with that money, right? And you can sell stuff and buy stuff and trade stuff and upgrade stuff and get to the rare level with that same. And so like it's just kind of like the bankroll management, which I've been meaning to like chirp back at people on Twitter, but it would just take too many tweets and I don't really care anymore. But like just the bankroll management aspect of it, like first of all, there's like fucking 0.025% of people that are actually like profitable at DFS. So if everybody thinks they can just make a bunch of money at DFS, just fuck off, because that's not true.
Although and then a deep threat can, a deep threat's legit.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Let's get some deep threat. And if he's got a system that keep riding,
let it ride. Let it ride.
But my point is like the balance of people who say like, oh, why don't you just play FanDuel DraftKings? It's like, I don't know, because like you probably like lose on money on FanDuel DraftKings. Like that's why not, right? And so like being able to effectively manage your bankroll on DraftKings, right? And like if you hit $1,000 prize, being able to be like, okay, I'm still gonna just play the $15 contest every day, and like this is gonna now last me another 4 months. Like that's harder than like it sounds, right? Like you all of a sudden just fire off on an 888 or whatever, right? And then you're back down to where you started. And so that's where I like think it's a lot easier to do the bankroll management stuff on Sorare, because it's like, okay, this is the money I put in. Like I've got a good collection. I can make good lineups every week. I can kind of move in and out of stuff. And now here we are 27 weeks into the season, and I haven't really put in any money since week 4. And I've been, my account's been going up. I've been getting prizes, whatever. Right. And so if they add in ETH prizes, it's only for the top 3 people. So it's just like a carrot, to go for.
But it's still cool.
Would be,
still love it.
It's still cool. It's still great. Like it's still awesome. But
it would definitely deponzify it a bit. I would be a fan of it.
Yeah, but also like if I win a tier 2 rare, like I won this DeMar DeRozan 2 or 3 weeks ago, and like I don't know, 3 or 4 game weeks have passed, and he hasn't even got close to coming into my lineup because like I have a Shea and then I have a bunch of other guys, and so it's like I just haven't used this DeRozan, so I'm probably just gonna like put him up for sale and sell him, and that's like basically a cash prize for me.
That's, I mean, I feel the same way about that. That's how I feel about this too, where it's like, I like that I basically pay one time for my entry and then I still spend money again. But like, I can just pay one time and I'm like, okay, I can enter this for the next, like the Jade and Ivy that I won that I've now played like 15 times since winning it. And that's, like, yeah, it wasn't a cash prize, but it's allowed me to win like 4 more other rewards that I have flipped into cash prizes. So I totally get like, I'm not trying to go full, Better Call Saul, like salesman on anybody about any of this. Like if you're not into it, you're not into it. I don't need to convert you.
But I think one of the things too is that like, I mean, like like the DFS thing is that like you could hit big, like that's what like draws people in, right? Like
right, you could win like
go in that $1 million contest or whatever, and if I beat everyone, even though like you just have no chance really. But like it's that like what are you talking about? I don't think like people have like a huge expectation to make a bunch of money on SoRare, like, and to really like, and I mean, like, yeah, people might have the expectation that if I do this well, like I can keep growing, I can make a little money or whatever, I can make a little ETH, but like, not that I'm gonna like cash this crazy prize or anything like that, or like become a professional off it. So like maybe that's also like a healthy place for it to be in from the get-go, is that like people don't have those expectations to like, you know, that they're gonna, you know, retire off this or something.
Yeah, but think about when China signs up for SoRare, dude.
I think
we ever win again?
I think SoRare is like super fascinating, even just like the way the game is designed, because I think like I've told people, like, there's been people who have DM'd me and been like, oh, I'm actually really interested into it, and I've been like, okay, take it slow, like, just
play the free game.
Play the free game and see if you like it, because I feel like there are a decent amount of people that can get bored of it. You know, it isn't for everyone, and I think that's one thing is SoRare knows what they are. So they're not trying to get anyone who will listen. They're like, no, if you're into basketball and like fantasy sports or anything like that, like, this is the place for you. But then also on top of that, the gamification of it is just so incredible, where you're leveling up players, which gives you this feeling of progress. And then you can level up your collection. You can go from a common free lineup to a contender lineup or a champion lineup without ever having to spend money, potentially.
Dude, there was that dude, shout out Matt Harrison, who's in the morning show, is telling me that his brother started by playing just the common game, won a limited card that was worth 18, and has flipped that into a $200 collection.
What a legend.
Like, holy crap. I'm playing this game wrong.
That goes back to Andrew's question about like, okay, what do you think this looks like in a year or 2 years or whatever? And I think it just seems like there's like more of a natural progression of, like, I mean, I have a really small attention span as anybody, and I'm like always needing something to like get me going as it relates to outside work stuff every day, right? So like whether it's DFS or SoRare, whatever, Top Shot for however many months, like I needed something to be like addicted to outside of just, you know, work and hanging out at home. And like I think the progression of what moves the needle for you on SoRare is, like TST saying, is like rather healthy and like and kind of like a slow pace, right? Because like at the beginning, like, you know, we did the auctions and we kind of got some cards going or whatever, and so then and there's even maybe a step forward of people that are only doing the free game, right? And I'm starting to just see people in my Discord now that have been like, oh, I've been playing the free game for a while, like I think I'm ready to kind of get in some limiteds. Like, do you think like $100, $200, like what's the right value to get, you know, and how many cards should I get or whatever, right? So like that's a good natural progression that's happened since October, right? It's been 3 or 4 months, and so that's like maybe a slower one than even we're at. But then like, I don't know, for a while, like even just getting a tier 2 reward for something like that's like a huge like sick thing, right? Like and like and now we see, like, I don't know about you guys, but personally, like for commons, it's like, okay, well, I've got, you know, like a billion commons, like I don't, like, common rewards don't really move the needle for me that
You're the
much
common
anymore,
king.
right?
You're the common king.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we all have like probably what, 80-70 commons or something. Like you got all those free ones at the start, then you got like the 15 free ones, then you probably win at least one every week. So everybody's got a ton of commons, and so now, like, I'm not as juiced about commons, but I'm still juiced about limiteds. And like I'm sure there's going to be a point where if my collection gets to a point where I've got a bunch of limiteds, well, now I'm like,
you're not even juiced about super rares anymore. You're like,
yeah, exactly.
Uniques,
but like,
man.
well, no, but yeah, exactly. I need only one of ones. But what I was saying is like, so then when I get to the point where I'm not like as excited about the rewards, which is where like now I've got quite a few limiteds, and so now I need to kind of like, and I was going to ask TST on SoRare data, can you go through and figure out like how many times a card's been used in a lineup, or like how many times it hasn't, or did you do all that stuff manually when you were kind of doing that one video?
I did that manually. They said that it's gonna come. They've done it for other sports. The way they do it isn't exactly how I would want to track it, so I would still kind of do that. But I only tracked. I didn't track how many times I used it. I only tracked if I won it, because I just attributed it to my reward.
So I was just thinking like,
and I just throw it in as I win.
Well, because I was just thinking about like in the DeMar DeRozan instance that I just brought up, it's like, I don't know if I'm really ever going to use the DeMar DeRozan rare because of the contest offerings, and like I have a Shea that's like going to be the same price as him, and I'm always going to play Shea or whatever. So like thinking that, flipping that same mindset to limiteds, it's like I'm sure I have like a couple cards in my collection that over the last 10 weeks I haven't even used ever, right? And I'm just like fired them into practice or whatever the fuck it's called, trading, whatever Mike Love's doing, training lineups, and like so like that would be a good point for me like right now to like reflect back and be like, okay, here's like 8 or 9 guys that are like, I don't know, worth 10 or 15 or $20 that I've just never used. How about I just recycle out of these, get some ETH back, kind of get back, and like but what I'm saying is like that all these different like little strategy pieces are just like slow progressions of like what you now look forward to with your weekly, rewards and Sorare, right? And like I don't know, and then you add that into like the other levels and rare and super and all that shit. Like it just feels like more sustainable. Like I don't really feel like I'm gonna get like over it super quickly.
Do you think that's because you are a shill though?
Oh, of course. I mean, of course, promo code JVP, Momentum Labs, or whatever the fuck my promo code is. But
I did think this question by courtside is interesting. Why do people want uniques on SoRare if everyone is mostly just into the game and not collecting? I couldn't tell you, because personally, I think even the super rares are kind of dumb, in the sense I'm just like it's not anything collectible or anything that I want like long term. And I know I'm someone who's high, like I'm buying a lot of cards and flipping a lot of cards on SoRare. So maybe for me it's just the exact opposite of the way I look at things. But that is
super rares are also priced higher than 450. So.
Well, yeah. But no, but I'm saying like, okay, so but if you're
450 is the selling price, John.
Yeah. What are you talking about, John? But if you're playing with super rares, like what's the point? Like you can't upgrade your collection anymore.
Well, your rewards are
it's just a better if you can still sell at that point.
Yeah. But are you playing
sell?
Are you playing limiteds to upgrade your collection?
Yeah.
Oh, you are? You're just trying to upgrade your collection through your limited play?
Yeah, why not?
Because I thought you were flipping. Like, you know
what
I'm saying?
I mean, I probably am, but it makes like I don't know. I guess there's like there's enough liquidity with rares where it makes sense to be like, oh, if I bought rares and played with rares, I could shift things around. I could sell a card and buy a card. If you're playing with super rares, like what's the goal?
Well, like there's still sales on those.
Yeah,
no, I know that, but
so
I guess
as long as there's sales, you're risking more to win more.
Just like a different level of a cash prize, right? Like in, I don't know, like at the limited level, maybe your prize is typically worth $10. At the rare, it's typically worth $40.
I do get
the worth 100 or something.
The question around uniques though, like I do wonder, because super rare, I feel like you're still playing for the prize, right? Like there's still a level above you. It is kind of interesting thinking about the uniques. Like I don't know how many sales there are on uniques. Like the idea of winning the unique as a prize is pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. That is
I get there pretty soon.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know. What did you say? Game week 23? Is that when you're gonna hit it?
I might hit a super rare.
There was 22 people that played in the unique.
So wait, say that again?
Jeez. There was 22 people that played in the unique champion, the only unique one. And the other thing, and it's a minimum of 2 uniques. You can play with 3 super rares in it, and 5 get a unique prize, I believe.
Yeah, to Boston base point, maybe these people are buying and they're anticipating that ETH rewards will be a part of it at some point. Because that makes sense to me. If you're buying super rares or uniques because you're like, oh, they're going to add ETH rewards, then that's a pretty like understandable gamble, because especially like those cards might go up in value and you might not be able to compete after the award's already announced. So that makes sense to me. So maybe that's the piece I was missing.
There is also people that view these as collectibles. From
but I just think that's
the other avenues of SoRare. But like,
it's not that dumb. Like
it's not that dumb.
Like it's not that dumb. Like once you
So no, say what you were gonna say, John. Say what you were gonna say.
I was gonna say compared to like a LeBron Cosmic or something.
Yeah.
No, but
I can see it. I can see it coming.
The reason it's not that dumb is because like part of a collectible is standing the test of time, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that's what makes a collectible is like some sort of time. So if SoRare is successful, like as in like in 10 years it's still around,
according to my spam email.
Okay, but
let's phrase
then
this.
People are gonna be like, "Oh, the first one, blah blah blah." This serial
let's
number.
Phrase this in Top Shot terms.
Whatever.
Let's phrase this in Top Shot terms because we'll use Luka as a good example of like a LeBron Cosmic or something. But if there's a moment on Top Shot that has been worth $20,000 since that has consistently been worth $20,000 since beginning of the season at October 18th, right? So we're 3 months away, right? So for 3 months it's been stable at $20,000 and it's been liquid because there's been 9 sales on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like that. If I have a lot of money and I'm seeing that something's holding at $20,000 and there's been 9 sales on it, like that seems fairly liquid for a pretty high value like card or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And like so then that's where you bring in the collectible stuff. I mean, Top Shot would kill for a moment to do that. They would fucking write blogs about that shit if there was like if a LeBron Cosmic was worth whatever it was on the start of the NBA season and there had been 9 or 10 sales of it since then, that would be like all the rage, and every freaking Top Shot truther would be pointing you to that moment.
Oh yeah, no, of course, I get that, but I guess the big difference is like I see how Top Shot's a collectible. It makes sense to me, and I see how SoRare is a game piece, and that's how I view it. But what's going to be we already talked about when we were.
I think it's interesting. Sorry to cut you off, but I think it's interesting. You think Top Shot is you can see it as a collectible only because they see itself as a game piece right now. Which,
no, I know that, but no, I described the NBL theory. What are you talking about?
I think it just goes back to TST's point that like I don't know. It's not like any of these things are like actually collectibles right now, right? It's only been a couple years, so like all right.
Let me finish my point. When we were talking Top Shot, we were like, oh, what's like long term? What's the big difference between this LeBron 35K and 40K? Nothing. How are you ever going to differentiate like a rare LeBron from this year as opposed to like they're going to look so similar because it's like a card and it's like.
What if they keep changing the colors though? Like, what if it's red?
That's my point.
That's pretty cool.
What happens if they have a badge on?
Yeah, what if they have a badge? What if they have locations? What if you know where you were when you got that LeBron by a little fucking flag like that big, right? What about that, dude?
I don't know.
I don't even say it to make fun of him. I'm just saying that it's the same thing. I know you do, but
I get.
But I'm like saying that like people go nuts for S1. That's the same thing that we're in right now. We're in the equivalent of S1. So you could make that argument between S2 and S3, absolutely. But then you could also be like, so like a legendary moment, like after S1 shouldn't matter.
This is a good point. I take everything I said back.
I'm gonna share Ransom Reed's comment though. I kind of agree with this that like in the same sense that I think the only thing that will be collectible, if it is collectible and SoRare, right, will be the same thing. It'll be like, I don't know, if Jaden Ivey turns into a superstar, it'll be like his rookie card on here. Like that's it. Yeah. It's the same thing. Like that's the only thing that'll be collectible. You know, like because you could put as many badges as you on it as you want, and it's still not going to change the fact that there's 14,000 Giannis MVP badges. You know.
And I agree with that, but what will be even cooler is being like, I bought this in his rookie year and I won all this shit with him. Like, say you buy cooler. then it just having a rookie badge. Like what I'm saying is then buying it later, being like, I bought Victor Wembanyama right when he came out, and then he won me all this ETH rewards or all this whatever.
Yeah, but how would you show that besides like pulling it up on your screenshot
Not
up on
watch
your phone or
blockchain
something?
video.
Momentum
Blockchain.
Labs.
4 weeks
Momentum
ago.
Labs,
Blockchain.
baby. Momentum
Yeah.
Labs. This is sponsored
That's
by Momentum
probably on
Labs.
that's on our roadmap.
And utility is a false collectability. Ooh, look, that also rhymed, JP.
That's
Oh, wait,
deep.
did
I
I
feel
skip the
I
first
feel
part?
like- yeah. well,
My parents have plates with trains on them that they thought were collectible. And pewter trains from Franklin Mint. Collectible doesn't mean valuable. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that.
But
Beanie
so
babies.
going back to Jeb's like point of like, well, why do you think a Top Shot is a collectible, but a SoRare isn't? Like, I don't know. Maybe I just have a very too literal sense of all this shit, and I'm not like in love with what anything I own digitally. But like, it's all the same shit to me. Like, I don't know. Like, it all could be worth 0 in 5 years. It all could be worth what it is now. It all could be worth more. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
It's
I'm
all just
not,
like a directional bet on like a certain type of thing. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm the
I
authority
like how John didn't give every single option. I don't know if we all noticed that. He said it could be worth 0, it could be worth the same, or it could be worth more. There is no way it is going to be worth less, but not 0.
Good point.
probably not.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
not collect,
I
like
mean,
I'm not the
if we look
authority.
at one piece of this equation, that's our Top Shot brothers. It's pretty close to 0 already.
Only up. But
Wait, can we? Oh, go ahead, Jeb. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I'm not trying to like sway you guys either way. I just, at least for me, like maybe it's just the way I view it. Like for me, it's just like such a pure like game piece, and I like that about it. Like I like that there isn't this weird
No, I agree.
collectible speculation. Like it's nice
Yeah.
that like it
The
fits in a
second
box.
thing, I said this to Andrew. I've said this like privately and publicly. I actually said this to someone who works at SoRare. The second you make me collect a bunch of stuff to give me a pin, I'm out. Don't do a jaunt. Like understand what you are and lean into it. But I think the idea like that I think it's a pretty narrow scope of what the word collectible means right now. And like and that's why we're like this conversation. Now, I'm not saying that you guys have the narrow, but like generally speaking, that there's like a narrow view of what that's defined as. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if this shit's worth more than the other shit I have, so it's a collectible to me.
Well, I think it's. I mean, I don't think it's like okay. Maybe I painted it broadly there, but like okay, whether it's Top Shot, whether it's SoRare, whether it's Candy, whether it's another fucking company that starts next year, like they're like this digital basketball collectible right thing is like a directional bet right now, right? It's like maybe it's not even directional bet, maybe it's just like a moment in time bet that like I don't know, Sorare's not going to go under, Top Shot's not going to go under in a month. But if you're thinking about it like 5 years from now, right? Like, and I'd be interested to hear your guys' points of view on this, but like my perspective of like what I would want in 5 years is something that number one, the company appears to be competent. Number two, like there's a clear pathway on why I think that certain things should have value.
Yeah.
You know, which in my opinion right now is the SoRare like, you know, games, right? And I could be wrong, right? Maybe 5 years from now, limiteds are all worth $1 because there's a million limiteds out here and there's 16 of us still playing SoRare. I don't know. But like you also don't just go straight from here to 5 years from now, right? Like you see like as things happen, like you can sell all your Top Shot limits when the company's going down and like move, you know, only play SoRare. And if same thing happens to SoRare, like I'll probably sell out a SoRare. Like I don't know, like, but why do you? So circling back to this rambling point is like, why would you say that like you think Top Shot is more collectible in 5 years than SoRare, or what? You know, what about Top Shot is collectible in 5 years?
Well, I'm glad you had that, John. Let's go over to the collector's corner. Ring, ding, 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 ding. Here are the 42 Bubba's that have had a buzzer beater in the series 4. Ding, 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 ding. Shout out that dude.
Pretty good.
That was pretty good, right? That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was great. You almost said
Yeah,
exactly.
and I mean, I think to the point that Mike hit on is like, and people in the chat is that like, I mean, people collect the weirdest shit, and suddenly that stuff goes from being completely worthless to like valuable, or vice versa. Like Beanie
That's why I
Baby.
save all my newspapers.
Yeah. Dude, people pay a lot of money for certain newspapers. Like things.
I'm waiting, man.
Yeah, I respect.
You got the one from
the
the
long
day
con.
COVID started. Still, that could be one.
I got them all, man. I got them
Yeah,
all.
like people. So like I'm not trying to gatekeep collectibles, obviously, by any means. And I guess just for me, like when I look at the two, and I mean, this is the point. A lot of people who like were big Top Shot fans who wanted to like discredit SoRare were like, well, when I look at the two, one's like a stupid card and one's like an awesome video highlight. But I agree with that. Like I don't.
Of course, yeah.
I'm not looking at my cards like oh sick.
like,
I'm just like this motherfucker better score a shit ton of points.
But also like so like if that's what you're viewing, so if that's how you view the potential of something 5 years from now, I feel like that's like a little bit short-sighted, right? Oh god,
so good.
It must be a little bit hectic on the days when like 3 of the same blog drop at the same time. So like okay, if your view of like what, and I'm not picking on you, Jeb, but because there's a lot of people that I've seen be like, oh yeah, obviously
I'm
like,
picking on you and other people.
Obviously the Top Shot stuff is like a collectible, and you guys are all just jerking off on the SoRare stuff. It's like, well, okay, like if I'm sitting at a computer right now and I look at a Giannis card and I look at a Giannis moment, like obviously from like what I'm drawn to is going to be the Giannis moment because I can watch the video and it swirls and spins like a cube, right? But like, okay, so like yes, but does that mean like 5 years from now that spinning swirling cube is going to be better than this Giannis card that plays in fantasy games? Like, I don't really think so, because like there's so much more that goes into it, and like so that's why I just think it's like at some point, like we got to start holding the company that is doing these things accountable, right? Like at some point that's going to factor into your decision point about what you view the future value of things, right?
Well,
it's
and
like
I think a good
like you can
parallel, a good sorry, pun not intended.
I know. I just anytime somebody mentions Pogs, I'm gonna laugh. Anytime Pogs come in, I'm gonna laugh. Sorry.
But that was a very unintentional.
No, the more you talk about it, John, the more I'm realizing, like, I mean, like you guys know, I buy a ton of sneakers and clothes and stuff. The amount of weird, dumb.
Sounds like you're gatekeeping collectibles.
The amount of dumb like shit that I've sold for insurmountable amounts of money because I had the word Supreme on it, like over the years, is crazy. And the reason why people value like a crowbar with the word Supreme on it or a brick with the word Supreme on it is because of the company behind it, not because of what the collectible actually is. So
they've established a brand.
Yeah. So you are like, you're the more I'm thinking about it, and the more like my history with collectibles, I'm realizing, no, you're 100% right. It's like you have to bet on the company, not bet on like the specific collectible.
Well, so, and like okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I'll back up Jeb here a little bit with one point, and that is if these two products both stand the test of time and therefore can even be started to actually like establish themselves as a collectible, then like for the most part, only one of the two products is a retired player going to like hold value in a certain, like for the most part, all players, the second they retire, SoRare, like those cards are going to be almost worthless.
You see how pissed John got like the second you said historical players?
I didn't even say historical. I said retired. I said retired.
Historical players. So.
No, you're right. You're totally
point.
right.
That's a good point for sure. And like okay, what is even like as soon as LeBron retires, right? I don't know, maybe that's less than 5 years from now. Then what's the point of a LeBron SoRare, right? It literally goes to zero, right?
That's why I've been begging. I feel like there's such a fun way to do in SoRare as players retire. If like LeBron retires and he's a tier 1, or if like Jeff Green retires this year and he's a tier 4, there should be like just a straight up wheel spin. and like it's all of the current tier 4s on there, and like you just like you randomly, it's like a lottery,
Yeah.
and you get like that replaced. I think that would be so fun. I think that would be such a fun way to do it.
But that shows you how uncollectible that card is then, right? Because you are more interested in replacing it with literally anything else
right?
than holding on to it.
And we can't compare. You're right. We cannot compare it to how collectible the historical moments have been on the Top Shot platform. Because those sweet archives have just been.
There's a lot of them stuck at
mooning.
But no, but if you think about like so because this is the other thing that pisses me off, and I just don't spend enough time on Twitter to argue with people about. But like
that was like a good alley-oop by a deep threat in Weisberg there.
So let's say LeBron announced his retirement tomorrow, right? Like all of a sudden his cards take a dip on his cards immediately take a little bit of a dip on Sorare, right? But then like also
then
like,
the rumors start. He's coming back when Ronnie Jr.'s there, and his things
they'd still hold some value, or whatever. Like it's not like so if you have exposure to people or collectibles that are eventually going to be worth zero because of the mechanics of a certain platform, it doesn't go from like you having 6 players and then all of a sudden tomorrow all 6 of them are retired and all those are worth zero. Like you can just
I don't know
mitigate that risk. Like just like sell off all the olds in your collection, like starting this month.
All the olds,
all the olds.
I only play the veteran contest, John.
I like the youngest.
I'm at risk of my whole collection retiring tomorrow.
But you know what though? You know what I'll even say to like credit the marketplace over there, and not the SoRare, but the SoRare users. Like LeBron is considerably cheaper than the other stars, and that's because,
a good point. Yeah,
right. Like you, like his limited, I think is like 80, and then you look at someone like Sabonis or Siakam or anybody in that range, right? That puts up similar stats. It's like $60 more at least, and that is because like LeBron's like I get him this year and next year maybe, and then we'll see what happens. So I think it's kind of priced inappropriately.
Point. Yeah, I didn't.
Probably because he doesn't light any beams, actually.
Yeah,
that's right, baby.
Like the beams, dude.
Yeah, I am so curious to see. Like, I think that's the other thing too. Is like we really can only speculate to some degree because the NBA SoRare product and marketplace is so young. Like, there's a lot that's like the off season is going to be weird. Players retiring, especially a bigger player like LeBron. It's going to be weird, and seeing how SoRare handles it or doesn't handle it will be very interesting.
Yeah, and I know there's going to be people who watch this after the fact because it's a little bit late internationally. Jeb means SoRare NBA because anytime we say SoRare is new, everyone is like, "We've been around longer than Top Shot."
No, Mike. I said on purpose to get the engagement, all the angry comments. Yeah,
and also like I kind of hope SoRare doesn't do anything for retired players. Like I guess a cool idea, Mike, and like
I mean the idea crushed, but yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay. In theory, it's a good idea, but like if LeBron is retiring, just like don't give away LeBron rewards or whatever, right? Like because and the only reason I bring that up is because like there's so many fucking people on top, so they're like, when are you gonna do this for my whatever the fuck, right? And so now it's like if you don't do anything like that on Sorare, and it's just like, sorry, dude, your fucking guy's retired, you can't play him in your lineups anymore, then it's gonna be like, all right, well, now I'm just gonna be a little bit more cautious with the retired bros. Like I don't know, like just let like don't try to, keep a bunch of people amused and happy or whatever. But
I don't think
so. Let's
will.
go back to the theoretical 5-year thing.
Don't amuse anyone and don't keep anyone happy. That's what you need from a project.
I love this. I love this
their
from
own
Boston
damn
Bay.
decisions.
Retired players get you an infinite object. Let's do
retired
that,
players.
baby.
Retired players get you a historical moment on NBA Top Shot. Bridge the gap, dude. Bridge the gap. Bring these people together.
So let's think about this. Let's think about this a different direction. So let's say that 2023 a recession doesn't happen like it's forecasted, and a bunch of like people get a bunch of money out of nowhere, and all of a sudden like digital collectibles,
and then they buy my house.
Buy your house first. TST gets a boatload of showings and it sells his house quickly.
Bang,
Then
baby.
everybody goes, it's like, all right, I gotta start
Momentum Labs.
investing in some NBA digital collectibles. It's gonna be directionally, it's gonna go in the same like people are gonna go to Top Shot. I mean, they're so intertwined at this point. Like, if new money comes into the system or new people come into the system, it's more than likely just gonna kind of go in the same direction, generally speaking, right? It's not like either of these guys have been like shown that they're number one extremely incompetent, that nobody likes them anymore, or number two that they're like the hottest shit since sliced bread, and that's only where new money's going, right? So
Yeah.
directionally speaking, like that like wave of things I think will happen to both of them, right? And so then that just gets back to like my like discussion about like competence of the company, right? And it's like at some point, like there needs to be a like a tangible mindset of like why this thing should hold value, or will hold value, or could hold value, versus just like the thought process of like, yeah, but when people come on, they're gonna see the dope vids, and that's what it seems like all the Top Shot responses that I've been seeing versus SoRare. It's like, well, yeah, obviously Top Shot's more of a collectible, and it's like why is that true? Like it's a more digitally advanced thing right now. Like it's a cooler thing to look at, but like that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of owning like an iconic play that happens is a little bit more enticing than
Yeah,
the
That's
card.
like kind
that-
of
but
the
that-
coolest
I-
shit ever. But
Was-
but
say that again?
also
I was just saying that's like the coolest shit ever is like when you like an actually iconic like moment in time. Like that'll always beat like a
That's why I collect
static
my
card.
newspapers, baby.
Yeah, but I will say, I
but
mean,
also relative to relative to the moments on the site, like it's few and far between that are in that category, right? And I
Well-
know
Oh, yeah,
that's like a
100%.
wide
It's just the Giannis block, right?
yeah, exactly.
well, yeah, it's just
Not a
the one moment you own. No, but I do think I think that goes back to like unintentionally goes back to the point that you were making though, John, about like the company and having trust in the step forward, right? Because like, yes, in theory, you see these iconic moments happen and you're like, holy crap, like there's only 100 of these. Like I could get one of these on the site and that's where the value holds. But instead, I think like through lack of vision and direction, there's like some absolutely insane moments that you would consider iconic that are like, you could get that. Like there's no offers on it. Shout out Nest Analytics, who was doing some math today. But there was like 550 moments or whatever that has no addition offers on it. But basically saying, so like you'd think that would have something that would hold value, and then you go to the site and you look and you're like, oh, actually this doesn't hold value. So like why?
So let's phrase this a different way. Let's talk about Top Shot in a different way. If you're of the mindset that, you know, let's say tomorrow 20,000 people join Top Shot.
Whoa.
There's gonna be, but just think
Five
like it
extra
helps
user
to
base?
think. I mean, I know I always throw out these super drastic things, but that's how like my brain works to try to like flush through like what would happen in the most extreme example, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
20,000 people sign up. Like there's certain moments like you guys just talked about, like, and I saw in the chat, Ransom Reed says Steph metallic silver will always hold value. Like it would be fun to see a simulation of like what moments would actually rise in value versus what moments like wouldn't really move at all, right? Because we're far past the point where like Jonathan Bales writes an article and then all of a sudden every moment on the platform is worth, you know, $21 at a minimum, right? Like, so that's never going to happen again. And so then if you are now making a bet on Top Shot, I feel like you have to be super okay. This is not the collect and connect and Treaticus side, like just do whatever the fuck you want because you like the stuff. This is like if you're making a bet on the platform, you have to be, and you're speculating or whatever that it's going to be increase in value. You have to be very like specific in what you bet on, right? Because like you think about how long ago, it wasn't that long ago when the LeBron no look 3 was like, oh, this is like a pretty valuable moment, right? if 20,000 people join the platform tomorrow, nobody's buying the LeBron no look 3. Like, it's just like it doesn't matter anymore. Like, it's just not a. It's just part of all the other LeBron moments that are out there, which there's like a billion of them, right? And so like people are gonna go towards the badges, and people are gonna go towards rares or legendaries or whatever it may be, and certain really good games or whatever. But like and people have what they want to collect, and all that stuff is fine and dandy, right? But that the argument of like, I like collecting stuff on Top Shot, I like getting the game of, I like having every guy that scored 10 threes in my collection, is also like a different argument of like why you think Top Shot is a better collectible in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where people don't really differentiate, in the 140 characters on Twitter, is like they like what they're doing on Top Shot, and they like how they're building collection or whatever, which is fine, which is awesome. Like, people do whatever the hell you want, right?
Yeah,
But
whatever makes
also
you
like
happy. Collect what you
you have
love,
to,
baby.
yeah, collect what you love, and that's all, that shit's good. But also, like, if you're gonna have like a true discussion about why you think one thing's stupid and one thing's really good, like, you can't you can't like open up your 40-point game moment collection and be like, well, see, like, you didn't get all this shit on SoRare, right? Because I just don't think like, and everybody's got their own opinion of what is like valuable, and I'm sure there's a couple people out of the 20,000 people that would sign up that would go grab some 40-point gamers or whatever, right? But if you look at like the general mint count of stuff and relative to like the category of players and moments and stuff, I just feel like there's just such specific bets that you need to make on Top Shot that it's getting farther and farther away every day of like the certain things that will be collectible in 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I know personally I've changed a handful of times, like what I thought is the thing that we should be collecting. Mainly because Top Shot has changed the rules, right? Where like the set collecting seemed to be like, oh my God, that's like a no-brainer, right? Because not only is that some of the first sets of the kind that are on the platform and that's going to be here forever, but it also gives you access to these sets moving forward. But then they were like, hey, we're actually not going to do this set anymore, or we are going to do this set. But you know how it was a rare one and it was really tough to get? Now it's common. Or now you don't get access to it. You get like a Discord invite, like, right. And so like, because things like that have changed. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you were saying, John.
What's
and
interesting? Go.
No, I was just going to make a joke at the end where I was just going to say that I don't think they think there's they don't think that SoRare is dumb. They think that we are dumb for talking about it. Like, I think they think SoRare is fine. It's just we are the dumb dumbs.
That's true.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is I think you kind of bring up a good point, Mike, because I mean you and I were talking about before we went live, but when I was initially buying Top Shot, I was buying the floor, and that strategy made sense before they changed the rules. And now I'm in SoRare and I'm buying the floor because it makes sense with the current rule structure. So I think just, and if you guys haven't seen it, or anyone in the chat, Tandy did this incredible interview with this guy Eric Whiteback, who does make tweets out a bunch of collectible stuff. He's like a super collector, is very in touch with just the value of things and like how the markets fluctuate and stuff. He's a very interesting follow, regardless if you like physical collectibles or not. And he just talked about the importance, like the pillars, I guess, of a collectible. And one of the things he was talking about was just like consistency. And, with, I think one of the big problems that he pointed out himself in Top Shot is the lack of consistency. And I think that's, I can tell you how it ends too, Deep Threat. I'm sorry. But but yeah, like, so I think that's a big part of it too, is like in this 5 years, if to be fair, if Top Shot didn't change rules and they kept them for the next 5 years, there might be a bit, like, we might see a turnaround because that consistency is important. But, so far, SoRare has done a very good job of like keeping things consistent.
Yeah, I mean, that's been my biggest frustration with everything. Like, that's the infrastructure, but I guess that is like a bigger, that's like a large scale company wide example of the smaller thing that we're talking about. When when like you continue to change direction and change rules like all willy-nilly, I mean, it's going to have consequences. And I think you're seeing some of the consequences, even though that's not going to be highlighted on Twitter or highlighted by Top Shot either, because they're not going to address it because they haven't addressed anything in 5 years.
Well, and I think like Jeb, you brought up a good point of like consistency and like, and I don't even look at that from like I don't even look at that from just like Top Shot as a company. I look at that more from like consistency of like what other people think is like valuable or what other people think is like cool or whatever, right? And so like there's no doubt that there's 1,000 LeBron Top Shot debuts, comments or whatever. Like consistently, we're now into Series 4. That's always been a grail that a bunch of people think is like one of the best moments on the platform. I have no doubt that like a LeBron TSD is going to continue to be something that people try to level up into, people try to add to their collection, people, call it grail, whatever. Like that makes a ton of sense, right? But then, and I'm not even saying like I'm not even arguing about like SoRare is better than this at any of the shit, because I think SoRare isn't. I'm not really arguing in that case, but when you look at the product that Top Shot puts out, and we can, I brought up the LeBron no look, but like there's plenty of moments each year or each month or whatever that like come out and like in the moment maybe they're a little bit cooler than other stuff, and then like a year from now they're just one of a bunch of different things, right? And so that's where that consistency kind of breaks, right? And so that's like both a positive and a negative for Top Shot, that yes, they can do challenges and mint moments and like get a really cool play that's top of mind for everybody, but it kind of just seems like, and maybe it's just not their vision, or maybe they don't have a vision or whatever, but it just seems like sometimes they short sight some of that consistency stuff that ultimately helps the platform stay, helps the platform have like a staying power over time, right? I mean, if you look at like, I mean, I don't know how like people would define different, things differently, right? But if you just say like, okay, these X amount of moments are a grail, right? Like, I don't know, you just come up with a random number of these X amount of moments are a grail. Well, there's like, if we were to do that last year, it would be however many moments out of 25 million or something. And now this year they're going to come out with like a bunch more moments, and so now it's like a much smaller number are added this year to the grail, but then a bunch more are added to like the non-grail bucket, right? And so then it kind of just like, and every year it probably is going to be the same, right? Because like you lose some of the little triggers that help with the collectability, like all the different badges, like the debuts, like all that, like the final stuff, whatever. Like there's just not like enough things that can have that consistency, right? And on top of that, like as more moments come out, then there's always risk for some of the stuff to lose the consistency, right? Like, I don't know, let's say Steph wins finals MVP for the next 3 years. Well, all of a sudden his Series 3 legendary isn't as consistently considered a grail or whatever, because now there's 4 of that same moment on the platform, right? And so like that's the kind of thing that I don't really think that's the kind of thing that I think is lost in this collect what you love thing. And ultimately I think that consistency that you're talking about, and that Eric was talking about on Tandy's show, is something that is necessary in order for it to succeed long term as a collectible. And it just seems like that's always at risk every series of Top
every
Shot,
time,
right?
yeah.
So are dynamic moments potentially like part of a way to like fix that inconsistency, in that it can like, because they want to mint during the year, right? They want to do that, so like they don't want to wait to the end of the year, and they don't want to then, because then at the end of the year they could actually choose the best dunk for throwdowns or whatnot. So we saw it all day come out with the dynamics. So if they had, and then it would be like, this player only needs like one common or like one rare or whatnot, or you could still have your sets, whatever you want to do, but it allows you to not be like, okay, we need to see if this is the right moment for them. Like, you can think of a rookie moment, like a highlight package from their rookie year is like a step above even you know, comparing a card to a single play. Now we have like that other thing. And like, obviously this is like problematic in certain ways because like they didn't do this from the beginning and maybe they didn't have like the vision of that. But like, when we look at it, it's like they want to mint moments close to when they happen, but they want, or we want, I should say more than them, we want like there not to be too many moments per player and everything. They want like there to be themes and stuff, but then they're like, they don't want to wait till the end of the year to do it all. So like, I feel like dynamic moments could be something that could help with these things, not necessarily fix it.
Yeah. I mean, those dynamic moments for all day are so sick.
They
Those
do. They
things
do
are-
Really well done. Really well
Those
done.
are
And they're
so
all like
amazing.
they're all like 3 minutes long or whatever. Like it's it's pretty fun to just like watch them and like relive your team's season. And the fact that they did them to 250 is good. I think, but to TSC, I think to answer your point, like we kind of talked about this last week when you were staged in this beautiful room, but we agreed that it would be like a super good thing for Top Shot to add, and like this was something that, you know, like the talk of the town right now is about like people have started thinking about the rookies, right? Because in the original podcast at the beginning of the season, like there's still technically 16K base moments coming for all these rookies, which I know everybody's gonna freak out because some of the rookies are worth $11 right now. But you know, that is technically on the roadmap, right? And you know, that's the talk is like, okay, can we not do that actually though? Because like it would be that cool. You know, hopefully they go in that direction. I mean, I don't really see any reason why they wouldn't. There's
How many
obviously
fandoms can they get?
Well, I mean, whatever. But
I saw-
like but that would be like okay, like but when you were talking about the dynamics, that would be an interesting way to do parallels, right? Because like okay, you come out with 4,000 and I know
No, I
like,
agree with
parallels
you.
are
I just
stupid.
can't believe parallels.
I
I,
know.
parallels
Stupid.
is what
But, like
really
that
made
is
me
an
fall
interesting
off
way
the
to do it,
train.
right? Is it like okay, there's the rookie moment that's Paulo's dunk, right? And then like, hey, we're gonna like there's gonna be you know, you can pay I don't know, $10 and you can upgrade your moment and do this new highlight, or you can not and you can just hold on to the base one or something. And then like by the end of the year you could have like 7 tacked onto it, or you don't, and it's like just the normal one. I don't know. It might be stupid, but I thought that
No, I think that's. I
But-
mean, like that's better.
but,
than
like,
just being
you mean,
here's
like-
14 million of them.
You mean like buying two and like melting them together, right?
no, it would just be like because we already know they can do whatever the hell they want with the videos, so they would just like change it, and it would just be like a new, it would just be like a new video, and I would probably wouldn't work that well for parallels or whatever, but to get to your point of like that exactly what you said goes back to what Jeb was saying about the consistency stuff, right? Because then it's like, all right, like that gives people like the short-term confidence that this Paolo moment that they buy is going to be like the best rookie moment that Paolo has, you know, maybe outside of like the one legendary they do in the set or something, right? Because it's like, okay, cool. Like I'm going to lock in this Paolo. Every time there's a cool highlight, like he could end up with 10 dunks in this moment, or if maybe he kind of sucks and he like gets hurt, he could only have 2, like 8 or something. Like
I think they
I
should
don't know.
replace him. I think they should replace him.
What do you mean?
Replace the plays. Like, okay, if you want to, like, let's just take a random player,
Whoa.
right? Like, take a
Is
random
that what you
player.
mean by dynamic? Is that what you
Yeah,
meant?
yeah. Like,
Ooh,
I'm talking
interesting.
like.
I mean, that
so
could be
like,
super
let's
sick.
take.
It's
let's
not what we talked about last.
Let's not use the rookies because I think there's this, you know, the 4K thing is the first game, blah blah blah, whatever. So let's take like a random MGLE, right? Like, so like we'll take a Steph MGLE. Okay, they release it. It's this play. So we know that it's going to be at least that good of a highlight. And like, trust me, this will get people going nuts when they change it. And they're like, no, I like that one better. So it'll be very
The
entertaining for us as
gamification
well
would
on
be
Twitter.
really good.
Yeah. But,
Oh yeah.
but it's
It'd
just
be
like,
good
oh,
for
he
video
does something amazing. Yeah. Video game numbers. That's a perfect
That they
example.
should be doing it with like that. That's
Perfect
so easy.
example.
Yeah.
And you just wipe it off, new one comes in. And then like think about throwdowns. Like Jaw's gonna beat his dunk every like you just be scared to ever mint a Jaw throwdown.
TST though, can I tell you what would happen? There's gonna be like a whole spaces.
Oh,
That's gonna be around a moment that it's like Luka getting like 55 points. They're gonna be like, dude, that is actually what gave me my first Top Shot boner was this play. And then you're telling me you're gonna give me a different Luka moment because he gets like 62 points.
What about doing it a different way? What about there's like it's like you walk into the Top Shot store and you can choose to buy.
So you gotta buy land. They gotta buy land first.
Yeah.
They gotta buy land first.
They do need land,
Shout out
and they
Patrick.
also
Shout out
probably should work
Patrick,
on the
man.
trade ticket storefront that's coming eventually.
I love
But
Patrick.
once they get through that, let's say
Patrick's
it's
the
the throwdown set. The throwdown set's a really good example. What if you just make after a month of the season, you make 15 throwdowns available, right? And if a person wants, they can pick that jaw dunk and they can mint it, right? And you randomly get that one or whatever. Or if they're like, nah, there's probably gonna be a sicker jaw dunk eventually, like they wait, right? And you don't mint it. And if a bunch of people mint it, well then whatever.
Like you
just
gotta
miss out
lock
on
it in. What you're saying?
Yeah, like you
Like
lock
you
it
can
in
own
at
it, but
that
you gotta
moment.
lock it in.
Yeah.
We gotta
I
end
know.
this
Or
shit.
what
Then
about this?
if you
We're
lock
making
it,
our own moments now, Mike. How you like that?
Yeah,
We're making
this
our
then
shit.
own
if you
moments.
lock it, it can never change, even if it's a dynamic moment, because you locked it when you thought.
Well, what if you have like at the beginning of the year they release like let's use
So you
throwdowns.
basically lock it in if you don't have faith in them choosing the best one.
No, but like so let's say you get a throwdown of a player, and then throughout the entire year you can change it whenever you want, but you have to burn common moments to change it every single time. And then at a certain deadline, it gets locked in, and whatever you have, you have.
Yeah.
I mean,
What if?
all
What
these
if?
I feel like we're just spitballing ideas that are not that hard to implement. and
What
be
if
pretty
though
innovative.
every
We gotta
moment
get more
starts with?
difficult with our ideas.
What if every moment starts
No,
with?
I'm saying,
Wing
I'm
ding
saying,
ding
like-
ding 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 ding. Welcome to the collectors. Go ring ding 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 ding.
I was just saying, like I don't know. I've been battling back and forth with Shark all the time on Twitter, and he's
Oh,
always
love
like,
the
well,
shark, dude.
he's
Love
like
the
always
shark.
he's always like forward thinking of like, well, Series 4 is not done yet. Like they can still do a lot of really cool shit here. And I'm, more of the approach of like, well, they haven't done any cool shit yet. So what makes you think they are? Which is fine, right? That's
He's
difference of
magically
opinions.
just
But
gonna
like,
change.
Infinite
But I was just-
possibilities, John. Infinite
but I was
possibilities.
freaking, it's just how it's just left brain, right brain, or whatever. But we just rifled off like a bunch of half-made ideas that I'm sure if we streamed for 3 more hours, which I know Mike would be up for, we could
We can't.
really, come up with some. We could flush these ideas out a little bit, like come up with like a couple more innovative ways for them to do moment distribution, burning, like whatever the hell, right? And like it's not that hard. Like, why is there not fucking 4 dudes sitting in a room in Top Shot headquarters, just like
Well-
thinking about this shit all day and like
Top
trying to
Shot
figure
think
out how to
tank.
like do stuff, right? Instead, it's just like
Well,
this week,
Vinyl's just
we
tweeted something. What did
got some
Vinyl's tweet? Vinyl's
blocking
tweeted something.
challenges, babe.
Vinyl's tweeted out something that was
Yeah.
what did he say?
John,
He's
you saying that about like the list he's gonna do? It reminded me of like back in Series 2 when the judge tweeted out 10 reasons why Top Shot will moon, and I think like number 3 was like Space Jam movies coming out. And I was like dying.
Well, this is what is your first stop on Top Shot? I type in the letter N. Do you, Vinyls? Do you? And my browser does the rest and brings me to the homepage. Then I check out my collection. Tweet, birdies, then challenges, then marketplace. What's your routine? Guys, there's
Why do you oh never mind. Whatever.
I just wing ding ding ding.
I will say that I still do type in NBA Top Shot blog in Google every time I need to go to NBA Top Shot blog.
I haven't. I just like I honestly every time we talk about more Top Shot for more than 10 minutes, I just feel like I owe everyone just an apology.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
like,
fair.
I just
It's
am like,
because
what?
you're getting paid so much money by SoRare.
You're only apologizing to the company that pays you. It's not
Yeah,
to
it pays
everyone.
you insurmountable
If you
amounts.
weren't
of money.
getting paid by SoRare, you would.
Oh,
They
God.
gave him a desk at the
Yeah,
New York
hey, you know,
office. I heard.
They did not. No one had a desk. Okay. Hold on. This I wanted to bring this up because we talked about the Top Shot Shark for a second, and then we have to get out of here. I really got to go.
Yes.
But he says, "What if Dapper hires Top Shot Tony?" I know, like, yes, we should hire Top Shot Tony. Top Shot Tony put out a call to the Baubles NFT, which is somehow a real thing that he wants a 1 of 1. I just want to say, guys, when Tony does the spaces, just because one person is Italian doesn't mean everyone has to be Italian.
Wait, what?
It's the weirdest
I do
thing that's
appreciate the
happened.
effort. I do appreciate it.
Everyone comes on.
Oh,
and puts on
everybody that comes on is like, "Hey, Tony Bacon Donuts, what's up, man?" Like every single person.
I do. I'm not gonna lie. I do like that about the Tony Spaces that people come on with their own persona, and I think, Mike, I think the reason why is because me personally being not very good at impressions or accents, you maybe come in with an idea that you want to be, Irish or something, but by the time they've had like 2 or 3, sentences back and forth with you, they're just all of a sudden Italian because you just like go towards whatever you're kind of conversing with because that's not necessarily your performance strong point, like Tony himself.
I was about to say, I think it wasn't Dustin the one who started that in.
Yeah, Dustin. Dustin was the first one. Dustin came was like, "Hey, Tony, what's up? It's me." But
Is that just?
The Shark did it this week. The Shark actually shout out the Shark because
he was on there.
I thought he was going to be a nightmare. He did a great job. Yeah, Sharky Balboa, and he kept saying, "Hey, I'm not too bright here." He like said that. And it's just a caricature of a bunch of Italian people. It's really funny. But yeah, it cracks me up. All right, we got to get out of here though.
Is that just to prove that people know that he's not real though? It's like anyone who doesn't come on with an impression thinks it's real.
Maybe that is true because we have had people come on being like, I don't understand your take, sir.
Tony, a little bit confused at the new challenge. So now,
yeah. Also, Tony now is just tweeting like very pro baller stuff, and it's so good because it's infiltrated the ballers community who are not aware of Tony, and they're just like, "Hell yeah, dude, let's go, welcome aboard."
There it is, a guest on the next podcast.
You're like, wow, we got a new user for the first time in years.
Oh, it's just so good. Also, I love that people think the account Mia Wall like 489999645 is a real account. It's my favorite. That's my favorite. Didn't even do the work to change the name. All right, we have to end here because I've been doing this too long. All right, real quick, Jeb. What anything coming up these days, Jeb? What are we going on? What's going on?
Hopefully some new videos. I might need to rebrand it to SoRare Cheat Codes after listening to the latest SoRare NBA podcast from the SoRare Data guys.
There we go.
It's a good one. So
there we go.
Yeah, if you're looking for SoRare content, since I'm not putting it out, go check out the SoRare Data NBA podcast. It's also a good listen.
Also, Stubbs is saying, is this how the Vegas hangout late night was? Yes, this is essentially what happened. There was us giggling and then TST's feet getting swollen.
Couple more cards at the table.
Cards and a couple more drinks.
A lot more laughs.
TST, what do you have doing besides just like getting some new artwork up on the walls?
Well, hopefully those new artworks can appear in a video pretty soon.
Ooh,
nice,
hopefully. I don't know.
Teaser.
Too much shit
like a house walkthrough, 3D walkthrough.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna maybe just do one showing off all my newspapers. So stay tuned for that.
It's been brought up too many times. You do have newspapers. Like it's confirmed now. You are a newspaper guy.
Well, I didn't share it earlier, but I'm sure there's like 2 people watching by now. It's actually just the grocery store flyers. It's not actually. I don't have a newspaper subscription. I just go pick up the flyers and keep those and open those sometime. Moon.
That's excellent. JBB, what do you got going on?
Well, I'm getting my wisdom teeth pulled Friday, so
depending
how that goes, could get into some weird Twitter threads this week. If the right person riles me up, we could get after it.
Painkiller JBB.
I'm not a big drugs guy, but when I got my wisdom teeth pulled out in high school, it's the most fun I've ever had. It's the highest I've ever been. I was really messed up.
Depressing.
Yeah.
Also not a big drug guy, so
but it was great.
Oh, you're in for.
Yeah, it's a wild. It's like a wild 24 hours. It is wild 24 hours.
Let me ask you this. Right now, is it a wild 24 hours? So okay. So do I need to make my DraftKings lineups prior to surgery?
Yes. How well have you been doing?
How much money are you putting in?
No. You don't have, wait, when's the surgery's Friday?
Friday morning. Am I
No,
gonna be fine?
you'll be fine.
Saturday morning?
Yes.
All right.
gonna feel gross. But Friday, you're gonna be high as hell.
Yeah.
I can.
I just can't
all
wait
right,
till we have John come on next
Yes.
week and be like, oh, yeah.
we should do a special
God.
one. We should do so. You just make him sing like Counting Crows or something.
Am I not gonna be able to talk for like a
Ring,
week?
ding, ding.
I thought it's like
Collector score, yeah, boy.
you
Get
just
her
gotta be nervous, though.
done!
I thought everything's gonna be fine after like 3 days. They said. No, am I gonna be talking weird for like a while?
I mean, for me, it was like 2
No,
2 weeks of recovery.
no, 2 weeks. Oh no. Yeah, really?
You
Was
had
it
problems then?
Maybe mine were like I got mine removed
Deep
2
cut.
years ago. But one of them was like super deep in, so maybe that's why. I don't know. It was
Impacted shit. Mine was
Yeah.
uncomfortable for a couple weeks, but I was fucked up for one day and I was sick for a day. I was like pretty nauseous the second day because of all the drugs I had on the first day. But I was
couldn't talk
really
for a week.
my mom tells the story because I was a senior in high school. I think I just graduated. My mom tells the story of me like on the ride home. I was like yelling at the doctors just because they like woke me up and I was like, why'd you put women's tennis on the TV? Like I was yelling. But on the way home, I told my mom that I was like, listen, I'm not gonna like get deep into Valium, but I get it.
You don't have to
That's
worry.
not-
But
I've been looking up some videos. I saw a girl this week. It was like in the doctor's office. She's like, wait, I'm not gonna be able to vape anymore. And then he's like, no, like no vaping, like no vaping. Bro, it's like no smoking at all. Can I smoke weed? And the doctor's like, and the mom's like, honey, what? And she's like, no, you can't do any like sucking motions. She's like, I can't suck dick. Like, oh my god, dude. It's so funny. I was like, the mom was probably like losing her shit.
Having a heart attack.
Well,
Make sure to have your wife film you because it sounds like
Yes.
that's gonna be some top.
that
tier
is gonna be great.
content.
Oh, God.
I listen, we're at the end of the show, and I feel like I should have plugged this earlier while we were talking about Top Shot, but Bill Shea from The Athletic is gonna come on the show tomorrow morning in like fucking 5 hours or whatever it is. But and we're gonna be talking about, he was the one who wrote that piece about NBA Top Shot and NFL All Day. That was basically like it's a scam. I'm excited to talk to him about like what he thinks. Just like I'm more interested in the league's involvement, and I'm curious what his thoughts are. So that's gonna be tomorrow morning at 9, and then Friday. Oh yeah, 89 Cavs tomorrow. We get a bunch of shit. I'm not gonna plug it all. Who cares? But tune into the thing tomorrow. But as always, thanks everyone for being here. This was a blasty blast. Dude, bagged wine. This is fucking rude, dude. I don't need to know exactly how much time it is again. This is rude. Wait, hold on, Stubbs. We'll end with this. This is an epic stream. I did shrooms once. Told don't watch TV, so I did. Everyone was extra small. All right, for AJB, JBB, TST, BFD, we are out of here.